So my name is Yuriy Chulovskyy. I was working in Ukraine for 8 years, and now I joined Luxsoft. Took part in more than 10 commercial projects, and you can contact me anytime. You are free to ask questions, interrupt me anytime, and to discuss something. I hope it will be discussion because you can give me your feedback, and maybe I can improve something. And we will start with the tests. Actually, this will be not presentation, but more thinking about issues we have and why we have them. But I choose one particular problem. It's our test, because I saw that people have a lot of energy because of this topic, and they really have the issues that we can resolve. So let's start with the question: what issues you have with the tests? Guys, you can answer. They don't compile. Yeah, okay, one problem. Next one. Any issues? A lot of tests, maybe. They do not test, you don't cover anything. Okay, it takes a lot of time. It's another issue. What else? Sorry? Random failures. Yeah, it's my favorite one, actually. Too weak? Too big. Like a lot of code? Or?
Like functional tests usually. A lot of setup and just a small check.
Yeah, it's not good. So we had also another issues with legacy code. Did you met legacy code? Yeah, cool. yeah, we do. And one of the other problems was that, okay, maybe 18% of them, really don't work or don't do what we want, or they just not usable. Anyway, I started thinking about it. I met real issues that we discuss it on retrospective after each sprint with other guys. They are smart guys like you. Their average is 30 years old. They're seniors. They have a lot of experience. And we discussed, we had those issues in production because we didn't write the test to test it. Yeah, maybe 25%. We analyzed it really on one project that 25 of the issues that clients submitted to us could be avoided if we wrote tests, but we don't. And next action item on retrospective, let's write unit test, integration test. And on next retrospective, I see that we receive the same action items and we don't do them. So I started to analyze it, why we have such problem. And actually, 4 persons inspired me for this presentation. I have just 3 because I didn't find one. I remember his idea, but I didn't find him in the internet. First one is Simon. You have links. You should watch those videos and read articles. He described how we work and what motivates us. And actually is that motivation always should be from why we do something, how we do it, and what we do. It works everywhere. And that's explained me why we don't test. It works even in selling something. For example, sorry for big text, but there are difference. Many companies start from what they do, how they do, and why they do. And this is example how other companies sell their computers. Here's a quote. We make great computers. They are perfectly designed and easy to use. Wanna buy one? And, I'm not sure I want. And another sentence from Apple that do great products. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in think different. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our product perfectly designed and easy to use. We just happen to make great computers. Wanna buy one? And that is what inspires you to buy it. So people don't buy what you do, they by why you do it. When they see your emotions, your feelings, they want to buy it. The same with advertisement. Why stars advertise some watches, dresses, and you buy it? Because you want to be as those people. You see how cool are they, and so on. The same with tests. When you come to your product owner that have budget and say, okay, we need to spend some time to refactor our tests, and he thinks, okay, we will spend 2 weeks, thousands of dollars, and we will receive no feature. No, actually, I don't want you to do this. It's because we don't know how to sell. And finally, we started today, okay, so we should start with why we test, and why we actually test. I will hide it. Why we should write our tests. Do you have any ideas? Better design. One. Next one. Document requirements. Okay, let it be. Yeah, keep quality high. Okay, what's next? Test regression. Yeah, good. That was our idea. So we have to write our tests to check the changes and make sure that they work as expected, and to verify that nothing is broken. How we do it is actually TDD, BDD, asserts, some JUnit mocks, and so on. It doesn't matter. It's already your implementation, how you will do it. And one more item that was extremely important on our project is that we need those tests to run in a few seconds. If we don't, nobody will use it. I mean unit tests, at least. The issue on our project is that we didn't have unit tests, we had just integration tests. And running them on local machine would take 8 hours. So you understand why people don't use them. Yeah, we had integration, we had continuous integration system that do it in parallel in 2 hours, but still, you just code, push it, and that's all. So we identified, we sit together with others and think, okay, so we need to have just a few steps, a few items that we will do every time to make sure we increase our quality of tests, products, and so on. And it was very simple. We should write tests for new and changing functionality. Start with this. We should support tests. If we see that something fails, stop, fix it. We should run tests locally to verify our changes. And we should control general picture. We should run those tests on continuous integration system, and somebody should look at results and tell other guys that, like, let's do something. Wow. So this bring me to presentation in Prezi, because it's another part that was inspired by cool guy from Kaspersky. I believe you know this antivirus. And he is manager of IT department, which is cool, and he has great presentation, but in Russian, sorry. And he like Toyota way, lean ways, and so on. And he also had mathematical mind, and together it's very great. And one of his presentation was about root cause analysis. So when you have a problem, you ask why. You have answer. You ask why again and again, at least 5 times to find the root of the issue. And he modified it a little bit to understand, well, in this case you will have a tree of objects. He allowed you to do the cycle, yeah? So here's an example of my real project that I had 2 years ago, one legacy system. And we identified 3 main issues. Developers do not use tests to check their changes locally. Tests are not supported, and developers rarely write tests for new functionality. And you just sit and start writing why. On reality, how it looks, you have a whiteboard, and you just take those sticks that you have and write issues that you have, put it on a board. Why you have this, right? Put in a board and draw the line to see the sequence. And we find out that, okay, we don't use tests to check our changes. Why? Because tests are not supported. Vice versa. Tests are not supported. Why we don't support them? Because we don't use them. Why we don't use them? Because most of them are failing. Why most of them are failing? Because we don't support them. Yeah, and this is a system that, well, always you have positive feedback, and it will always be the same. Until you break this dependency somewhere, you should change one part, like fix all the tests or parts that is important for you. And yeah, we had really big pictures here. One of them was why we don't write tests or do it very rarely. For example, it's not a part of definition of done. Yeah, nobody has time for it. You have to write feature, and that's all. Also, tests have low priority. You always will switch it to another task. Okay, why many test files and nobody tell me it? No manager don't know it, don't want to know it. It's because there is no responsible person for the tests. Even those persons that can take a look at continuous integration at Team City and see, wow, guys, we have read tests, all of them are read. And you can grow deeply and see, in our case, the problem was mainly in that we use XML as data sets. TestNG has this feature, you should know it. I believe you know where you can describe this test to run, and we added our own framework, we had framework that took data from XML, converted to real objects and ran the tests, which is nice idea, especially for QA. It was great because they don't understand Java, but they can use XML to write tests and test some corner cases, which was great idea, but in reality it's nightmare because they will not support the test. Once the test fail, you as a developer should support it. And during the year, I didn't saw any case when QA changed something in those tests or add a new test. And for us, it was a nightmare because the problem was that our system really don't work with XML. We work with objects. And once we change object structure or just field names, test fails. We spent many hours to fix them. And yeah, here how it looks. Like it's hard to support tests. Wow. And why it's so hard? Because it's hard to localize the issue. Yeah, because of those XML, we had another issues. How our tests were looking, we had tests that prepare data, like to insert some users, add some users in group, create those users. And after that, we have several tests that do some actions, like, okay, filter users that are older than 30 years, and so on. And only after that, we check. So we have a test suite that has 20 tests, and only last of them is testing something. And if it fails, you don't know where the problem really is. Maybe something happened when you try to insert the data. Maybe something happened when you do the actions. You don't know. Never do this. Do everything in one test. And yeah, even when we've created the idea how we can test it, how good test should look, it was hard for us to persuade other teams to do the same. If you have, in my case, we had several teams in India, several in USA, several in Ukraine, and yeah, we are so clever. We created the rules. Let's use them, but other teams don't need it. So one of the ideas is that, try to use this root cause analysis. Just write it on sticks, show the picture, and after that you will understand why you have this problem. And it's easy, and especially, let me emphasize the case, when you have this cycle like we have here, it means here we have a huge problem. Something should be removed to make things better. Another case is that sometimes when you start to talk with managers about this problem and you explain, okay, people don't write tests. And he said, okay, say them to do this. And they still don't do it. Then managers have very simple answer why something is not, why people don't do this. Because they don't know how to, or they don't know how to do it. So don't know, don't want, or don't have clear goal. 3 items. And finally, I started analyzing it, and it looks like problem is more complicated. When you see this root analysis, I started to think why we cannot deal with this. And find out that actually I, as developer, cannot resolve everything. Many items do not depend on me. They depend on other team members. So after I did this root cause analysis with team members, I saw another presentation where person explains issue types that you have. And this is important because it let you know who should fix it or who can fix it. And you can divide all the issues, all that I show you, into 3 areas. It's technical issues, environment issues, and social issues. And technical is the easiest one, you can see. For example, at that time we didn't have experience with mocks. That's why we don't use them, that's why we had just integration tests. And sometimes for us, and it was easier for us to write integration tests than use mocks. And actually, at that time, we realized that it didn't make sense for us to use mocks. We had very couplet systems with a lot of services, and if we just mock everything, we will test our mocks, not our functionality. It was easy. But, with technical items, it's items that any developer can easily fix. That's what everybody can do. And you can spend, for example, 2 days to learn mocks, that's all. And you can fix this issue. Another one is environment. For example, in our case, we were not able to run our test from IDE. That's because we had our own framework that you should run from console. And it's very bad because you should switch context, right? You wrote your great code, and you don't want to switch to another application to run something. You just don't want, you forget about it, because you are in another context. If you have this button, right, to run JUnit test, it's great. In our case, we didn't have it. Also, that's issue with 3 parts of tests that we had, I already described. Another issue is we didn't understand the reason of failure. We didn't know whether test fails because of changing functionality or because of something was broken. And those tests that we had didn't explain us what they do. So you open them, you have a mess of code that do something, and you don't understand what this test is doing, actually. A lot of code, you see that insert some data, but why? They didn't describe the idea, the business idea that they test. You see this just technical part, and that was our mistake. Another one is I don't know even how to resolve it currently, is with test suites that should cover some logic. And with unit tests, it's very easy. You have a class, you have a function, so you have name convention, like, okay, if we have For example, producer, you write producer test, and if it has a method produce, you write test produce method, and that's all. You see the coverage, you see what you cover and what you don't. In our case, if you have integration tests, I'm not sure how even now you would know what is covered and what is not. If you have some business logic, you created a test to for example, if you have a community system where you can add people, and after that you need to filter out all the persons that are older than 30 years old. Okay, you can create a test suite and call it somehow like test filtering on groups. Okay, but in a few months you will have hundreds of such test suites, hundreds, and you don't know all of them. You don't know whether another person wrote something for this functionality or he didn't. That's why when you wrote another functionality or change it, you don't know whether you have tests for them or you don't. And actually, I don't know how do you resolve it on your test on your projects. I mean, for integration tests, do you know what is covered by integration tests and what is not? No, yeah. Well, it's a pity. In our case, we created just document. We found out, okay, we have these 40 components that are most valuable for us. And we write one Word document with, okay, component name and test suites that we have for them, and short description. So actually renaming the test suites so understand what they are testing. And we started to maintain this document. But it's okay while you have maybe 40 test cases. I'm not sure what we will do when we will have more than 100 tests. And if you know, just share it with me. Sonar? Sonar will show you coverage. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you test some business logic. For example, it's good for unit testing when you see what piece of code was executed by your test. But when you test business logic, it's some business cases is much harder to test. For example, if you add something in a shop to a car, and you want to allow to buy this with discount only if you have some special products or something like this. It's hard to test. You cannot test it with unit test, unit integration test. And you should, I don't know, maintain some names, name convention about those test suites for integration tests. Okay, so that was the second idea. First one was to use root cause analysis. Second one is to divide them into categories. And yeah, this was one. First category is always technical, which is easy to use to fix. Another one is environment, which is harder to use, but still developers can fix it. They will need maybe a week or two to fix it, but they can. And the last one is the social. I would think that it includes many stakeholders, your managers, your product owners, and other team members, QA, and so on. And we had a lot of problems there as well. For example, tests are not part of definition of done. Yeah, you should discuss it with your product owner to find time to write tests. If you don't have time, if you didn't discuss it, you will never have time to write those tests. Also, yeah, we found out some time to create goal test definition, but it was also hard for us because we were an outsourcing company and we always received tasks from client for each day. Yeah, it was nightmare, but anyway, you couldn't spend a day to analyze your issue and after that say to client, we didn't do what you asked us, we just analyzed the issue. You should do it forward, and it's hard for client to persuade. It's actually for me, it was hard. Yeah, next one, it's hard to extend those best practices to all teams, especially if they're across the world. Okay, you describe, you're a clever man, you describe how to write tests, how to write mocks, and so on. how you describe name conventions that can help you, but other team will not use it. I'm not sure how you can push on them, but finally it's hard to do. Thanks. And yeah, about tests have low priority, it's also a social issue. You should explain to your developers that no, it's not low priority. It might be boring stuff at the beginning, but finally it saves you from fixing bugs. Yeah, so each time you write a test, you save the same time on fixing bugs. And yeah, nobody was responsible for it. Like, nobody cares whether you wrote test or not. In our case, we decided to give this responsibility to one person and switch it to another person every month or two. So like team leads that control it. He once a day just go to Team City, get the results of tests, and find out that, yeah, those 5 tests failing, you, and you, please fix it. Not today, but this week. It must be okay. After that, we resolved many of the issues, actually. And yeah. So before you go, I just want to ask you, was it valuable for you? Did you get something new from this presentation? You're not sure. Okay. Is there anything that was valuable for you? Just mention. Good summary. Okay. Anything else? Is there anything in this presentation that you will throw away? No. Okay. Then now we will have lunch, but if you want to try this root cause analysis, you're welcome. We can just stay somewhere near Blackboard and try it to resolve the issues that you have. And thank you.